Welcome back. In our last couple of lessons, we were dealing with confronting and handling an accusation that's true towards you and towards another. These are challenging things to deal with. These are heavy topics. And so now we want to transition to dealing with a false accusation with someone on your ministry team. Danny, what do you think about this situation?
False accusations almost feel like betrayals, which we'll talk about in other videos. But a false accusation, our first impulse is to defend ourselves. And let me say several things about false accusations. One, it's a matter of not if, but a matter of when it happens. If you're in ministry and you have not been falsely accused of something, it could be minor or major.
Yep.
You haven't been in ministry very long. But it only takes a couple of years of ministry that somebody's falsely accusing you. You've said something, you've done something that you're going, I don't even think that. The second thing that's very important that you need to realize, don't ever be shocked who falsely accuses you.
Wow.
Sometimes it's the most godly people, or they're the kind of the leaders in a church that does the false accusation. People tend to fill in the blanks in their mind. You say something, do something, they fill in the blanks, and they build a wall of truth out of their feelings and fiction.
Wow.
Point number 3 is try to be investigative. Strive to be investigative, not defensive. And here's why. Investigative, you ask open-ended questions that are designed to gather more information. Can you tell me more about that? How did you experience that? How did you arrive at that?
Yeah.
And sometimes asking investigative questions diminishes the negative power of that accusation. Wow. And so what's really important is when you defend yourself, you take something you've supposedly done or said to a whole new level, and now it's a character problem. Wow. And sometimes that's exacerbated by the leader themselves when they begin to defend themselves. And the fourth point I want to make is this. There is likely a thread of truth in the accusation. It may be 1%. But here's the thing. We all have blind spots, scotomas. That's why people hit motorcycles. I never saw them coming, but we have the same thing psychologically and spiritually. And sometimes leaders, I get to work with these high capacity leaders who their glass ceiling that keeps them from growing is actually something very, very subtle. Wow. And how do you find out that 1% that stops you from growing exponentially? Try to find the truth in false accusations. If someone falsely accuses me of something, how do they arrive at that? And they probably represent a good number of people within my circle of influence. It's probably not one person. They may represent 6 to 10 to 20 people based on the way I say something that comes across in a way that I don't want to come across. So it's very important that we look for the thread of truth, even if it's 1%. It may be the 1% that allows us to grow exponentially.
Wow. Danny, I think that if we're committed to being the best version of ourselves that we can be, if we're committed to being the pastor, the leader that God has called us to be, then we need that feedback.
Absolutely.
So if we see the accusation as feedback, we know in our hearts that it's not true, but we take the opportunity, instead of being emotional and defensive, we take the opportunity to ask, I love what you said, those open-ended questions. Because when we ask those, we're uncovering that thread of truth in our character.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. The accusation, the whole time we're investigating, is losing its power because we're not asking interrogative questions to trap the other person. We're asking investigative questions that leaves the other person feeling understood.
Wow. So as challenging as it is when you are falsely accused, see it as an opportunity to learn more about yourself, to find blind spots, things that you can't see, so you can be the best leader God has called you to be.